أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We continue our theme for Ramadan, تربية الشخصية القرآنية كيف تكون وما لا تكون, developing a Quranic personality to be and what not to be. When we reflect on the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we realize that it was his single-minded devotion, his focus on hope, his trust in Allah, that most often brought success to whatever he was engaging on in his mission. And by the grace of Allah, it was the Prophet's positive attitude, his inspirational approach, and his merciful character that raised people to live their lives according to their own higher standards, and which he elevated them even further by his example. And the prophetic example was always inspiring, always motivating. Much of his sunnah of mu'ashara, in other words, his practice in social dealing with people, with society, was manifested in how he encouraged, enabled, and empowered people around him. I will briefly refer to two incidents in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which illustrates this from his illustrious life. One is the situation in Taif. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was from Makkah, and he preached to the people of Makkah. They knew him as al-Sadiq, al-Amin, the truthful, the trustworthy. He was part of the noble family. He was well known of the Quraysh for his honesty. When he preached Islam to the people of Makkah, many of them rejected. In fact, they ostracized him, and they belittled his followers and punished them and tortured them. And he went to the neighboring town of Taif to convey the message of Islam, the first town he went to outside Makkah to convey the message of Islam. When he went to Taif, he was stoned by the people, insulted by the people. In fact, so badly was he stoned that he was bleeding. And in fact, as he was wiping off the blood, the angel said, "O Muhammad, O Rasulullah, invoke Allah to curse these people, that Allah may turn the mountain upon them." The Prophet refused to curse them. Rather, he said, لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ يُخْرِجَ مِنْ أَصْلَابِهِمْ مَنْ يَقُولُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Perchance from their offspring there will be someone who will say La ilaha illallah. Though Taif was the first town the Rasul went to preach the message, Taif was the last town to accept Islam before he passed away. But the Prophet never lost hope. The other incident is the people of Daws. Tufail al-Dawsi was a well-known poet and one of the chiefs of his tribe of Daws. And he embraced Islam quite early, and then he went to his people and preached Islam to them. They rejected the message. Not only that, they deliberately did the opposite of what he asked, because he was the only one, or very few of them were Muslim, and to show him a point, they would do the opposite. And he became very frustrated, and he came back to Rasulullah one time, and he said, "Fad'u Allah ayyuhlika Dawsa." O Prophet of Allah, pray that Allah curse these people and destroy these people. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam surprised Tufail by his response. Instead of cursing the people, he lifted his hand and he said, "Allahumma hdi Dawsan wa ati bihim muslimin." Oh Allah, guide the people of Daws and bring some of them at least to Islam. And then the Prophet turned to Tufail himself. He said, "O Tufail, irji' ila qawmik fad'uhum warfuq bihim." Go back to your people, call them still to Islam, invite them, and make sure that you are kind and gentle with them. Tufail did exactly what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And some years afterwards, after the Battle of Khaybar, when the Rasul was involved, and 2 years before the passing of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people of Medina saw a big crowd of people coming, and they were assuming maybe it's a tribe coming for war or something, and they were amazed. And as the people came nearby, they found that Tufail was leading the group. It was 80 families from the Daws tribe, men, women, and children. Each one had embraced Islam. So what we are saying, the Prophet truly inspired and empowered people. Rather than cursing them, he prayed for them. Rather than dissuading them, he tried to persuade them. Rather than losing hope in them, he gave them the chance. He therefore motivated those around him rather than disheartening those around him. And for us, the lesson in that, be a motivator, be an enabler, do not be a discourager. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.